Well, good evening, and thank you for joining us on the first inaugural episode of Common Ground. On this first episode, we have a special guest with us, Senator John Cooper from the 21st Senate District here in Arkansas. And, first, I just want to begin with this. The whole purpose of coming along and starting this whole series is really one of two things. First off, as Craighead County Republicans, we believe that everybody should have a good idea of how government works. That is vitally important whenever we go to vote, no matter if it's just for the vote itself or just common knowledge. It's always good to have that knowledge. And then second of all, we want to give you a chance to meet our great elected officials here in Craighead County. And part of this whole thing is building a relationship, and that's what we want to do. We are all inclusive here at Craighead County Republican Committee, and we're here to invite you to come to our meetings, be a part of us, and we hope that you enjoy this series as much as we do putting it on. So, Senator Cooper, like I said, it's good to have you here.
Good to be here.
And just first, if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you came from, and how you became a senator.
Well, I grew up at Heber Springs and served some time in the military, and then had a career with Southwestern Bell, later SBC, which is now AT&T, and spent a career there. And then I retired, and later got interested in politics and ran for first the House seat, which I lost, and then came back and won the Senate seat in January of 2014. And I'm still there, and still currently the senator from District 21 and represents most of Craighead County. Okay.
Sure. And I guess that you've been in the legislature now for how many years?
Well, it's been January 14th, 2014.
Okay, so going on 5 years now.
Yeah, for about 5 years.
Sure. So,
and it was a special election, and I was reelected about 3 years ago for a regular 4-year term, and I'm in the middle of a 4-year term now.
Well, fantastic. It's good to see you there, and good to know that Craighead County Republicans got you in this spot and helped out.
I enjoy the work.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, fantastic. So since you've been here going on 5 years now, what are some of the big accomplishments that you've seen and had a part in those last 5 years?
Well, we passed the Right to Try Act. Was one of my first bills that we did, and only 5 states had done that previous to that. And that bill really gives people that are chronically ill, terminally ill, the right to access experimental treatments and give them a chance and a hope to obtain a treatment which is not yet fully approved by the FDA. It's passed safety testing, but the effectual testing is still in progress, and there's people being treated under those programs now.
Great. So that's like an experimental type thing?
It's an experimental treatment, and we gave the medical people, the physicians, and the other people involved in medically, the advisors and people like that, some liability protection because it's experimental treatments.
Okay. So let's fast forward a little bit to today. The legislative session started back, I guess, back about 3-4 weeks
about
or so
3 weeks ago.
3 weeks.
We finished 3 weeks of the session.
Well, fantastic. So, what's that shaping up to be? I know that there's a filing period there where senators and representatives come and file bills, resolutions, etc. What are some things that you filed, and just what's your update for us, if you will, on the last few weeks?
Well, I've been working on for about a year the effort to reduce bureaucracy and red tape in the state. The governor has a red tape reduction task force, and he appointed me the chair of that. That's been going on for a little over a year now, and we've been examining the red tape in the state and the areas that we might be able to reduce the burden of occupational licensing and regulation in the state. There will be several bills that will be filed in regard to that, and probably some more that will be. Of course, the governor is in the middle of a transformation attempt to reduce the number of agencies from 42 to 15, and that's a big deal. That'll be a large effort, but it'll be a very effectual effort, I think, for reducing bureaucracy, and it will be an efficiency and cost savings for the state if we can get that done.
Sure. No, so as a constituent here, I think about all the different things that constituents go through whenever it comes to the state or federal government. One of the biggest things of the Republican Party is that we are all about small government whenever we can.
Right.
And so things like that are just crucial. I know that I attended a few of the town hall meetings that Governor Hutchinson put on as he announced this government transformation plan. And, he had two boards, and one of those boards had all of the different agencies and where they report to, etc., all on one board. And then the second board, had where we're going and the different organizational structures that we're looking at. So tell us a little bit about that, things that could be affected. I mean, what kind of impact will that have on constituents?
Well, that will, it won't have as much of a fiscal impact for a while because we're in the middle of a fiscal year. And the license, or not the licenses, but the leases for the floor space for those agencies are in place right now. And eventually, as this consolidation takes place, those releases will be released, and there will be a cost savings there as people are combined in the same floor space. And right now, there's some duplication of services that is out there, and that kind of thing will largely go away. It will be a lot more efficient government and make the governor's job a lot more efficient, because you can imagine him trying to have a staff meeting that has 42 people in it versus 15.
Absolutely. Well, that's great to hear because, like I said, anytime that we can cut government bureaucracy and try to ease up the burden of constituents whenever they're dealing with the state or federal government, of course, that's just great. So I just want to thank the governor for that, definitely, and for his work, and obviously the work of you and your colleagues and supporting him and making sure that this all comes to fruition. I know a lot of folks are excited.
Right. I've supported it from the beginning when he announced it, and I believe the other representatives here in Craighead County area probably do as well. I haven't actually discussed that in length with them, but I suspect that it will pass easy through the legislature.
Well, great. Good to hear. So coming up as we go through, I know that we're in week 3, and how long does session generally last? Through March, maybe beginning of April? A little
Usually
bit?
about 60 days is probably the minimum. It may be extended a little bit depending on the workload, but we're shooting for 60 days, and that'll get in and out pretty quick if we can do that. We have the flexibility of going longer should that need be there, but we're working hard to try to get in and out of there. It's 60 days or thereabout. So I think
understand
that'll happen.
that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So coming up on these future weeks that we have, what are some of the things that you anticipate coming about? What are some of the big bills on the table right now that folks have filed, and what's the future of what we look like?
Well, one of the big things that we'll be discussing is the tax reform also that people may have heard about. And that there'll be a lot of moving parts to that. It's income tax reform, and the Arkansas legislature has reduced taxes, income taxes for this will be the 3rd session in a row that we've done that, and we've been able to do that because of a good economy. It would be very difficult to do the things that we've done if it was not for a good economy, and if we'd been in a declining economy. It would probably have been impossible to do some of that, but the way we are right now, the economy absorbs the tax reductions that we've made, and which turns around and spurs the economic growth even further. So we're in a pretty good situation right now to do tax cuts, and that allows people to keep more of their own money and makes government also more efficient.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So going back to the economy here, here in Northeast Arkansas, back in 2008, 2009, 2010, etc., we went through one of the, if not the largest recession that we have since the Great Depression. And just as someone who's always lived here in Jonesboro and Craighead County in this area, of course, I was a little bit younger then, but one of the things is that this area has really been blessed whenever it comes to our economy. Of course, Arkansas agriculture in general is just such a big part of the economy here, and so there's a lot of that of course goes to the ag commodities, etc. But why do you think that it is that Jonesboro in this area, sure, I know that we were affected by a few things here and there, but we were blessed and didn't see that big downfall that several other folks across the state, but much less across the nation, saw. What do you think kind of kept us from that?
I think there's a couple of things that's relative to what you're saying, and one of them is the leadership in this region has been good. And also the diversity of the industries. We have agriculture, which is the number one industry in this region and the state, but also in especially the Jonesboro area, we have a diversity of industry, and that gives us that cushion in various ways. If you have a section that takes an economic hit, that the others can make up for that and soften the impact of it.
Sure. Well, that's good. I mean, like I said, we're just so blessed here in Cricket County to have great leadership such as yourself. And,
thank you.
Absolutely. And I guess our other state reps, of course, we have Brent Smith, we have Dan Sullivan, we have Jack Ladyman, we have Dwight Tosh. We have a slew of good folks here that are good conservative Christian men that have really helped to guide us in that direction. So, of course, we're so thankful for that. But, going to the national stage, I know that right now, you look at the debates going on in Virginia, look at what's going on in New York, some of these other places whenever it comes to abortion. Arkansas, we're one of the most pro-life states in the nation. And folks like us are proud of that. Right. But what's your take on what's going on in these other states? And, here in Arkansas, what are some of the laws that we have in place to keep some of that from happening?
Well, first of all, it hadn't always been that way. We've had a transition into being more pro-life since the legislature's been more Republican. But some of the things going on in these other states really is repulsive when you think about it. And I'm very proud of what we've done in the legislature and making it a more pro-life state. And I've been consistently voting for pro-life issues. And part of that has been some issues like the 20-week law that we passed. We did also some things about abortion. Physicians have to have contact with a hospital. They have to be on staff at a hospital to do that because things can go wrong. And also the abortion pill cannot be administered remotely. The physician has to be on site. So those things had a big impact on the abortion problem in Arkansas.
So let's go back locally here, and of course your job is to represent your constituents. Sure. And tell the viewers here, if you will, how they can get in contact with you, different things that you want to be contacted for, just some words on how they can contact you and be a benefit.
Well, first of all, anybody that wants to contact me or any legislator, I would give a little bit of advice. I usually close every speech if I make to a club or something like that with a little bit of advice along that line. If you're sending an email, don't make it a long email. Get right to the point and be brief and explain your situation. Also, remember, if you're calling by telephone, we can't answer the telephone during committee meetings and floor, but we do follow, even at those times, the text messages. And if there's a hot button issue that you want to contact a legislator with, feel free to send that to them. They will probably see it within a few minutes or so because everybody carefully watches their contact information. And we're very conscious of our constituents and their feelings about things. Sometimes they know some pretty good information that we don't, and that's very valuable to us.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming here. We'll put your contact information down at the bottom of this video so that folks can look at that and contact you with their concerns if they have. And I just want to thank you for coming and joining us here today, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to serve their constituents in District 21.
Sure. Well, thank you for your work, and thank you for being here with us today.
My pleasure. God bless.
Thank you. You know, folks, so this is just the first episode of Common Ground here. And I explained a little bit about why we're here, why we're doing this, etc. But really, you know, we want to hear from you. We want to know your concerns. We want to know how you feel about different things. And we want you to really come and be a part of us and what we do here and what we stand for. Even if you don't agree, send us a message. Let us know. You know, here I feel that the best decisions are made whenever we take multiple perspectives into account. You know, it's mighty hard to go out and just use your own brain and think, you know, I think this, I'm going to make that decision. You know, and there's a lot of people that do that, even some legislators. But, you know, it's mighty important for us to understand all sides of an issue before we come and make a decision here. And so we just want you to be able to voice your concerns. Let us know how we can better serve you. And also, if you have a concern that you'd like for us to pass to one of our legislators coming up, we're going to have I think we're going to invite all of the legislators to come and speak on a topic of their choice, or give us an update. I'm sure they will welcome that. Absolutely, and we're welcome to have them. So just let us know if you have any concerns we can pass along to them. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for joining us here on Common Ground. See you next week.